Cool.
So any other shows this weekend? There were a lot of shows this past week.
I went to the Lyndhurst, the art writer Lyndhurst craft fair on Sunday. It was a gorgeous day. Everybody I talked to said the show was not spectacular, but good. And it started on Friday. Friday had been windy, but everybody seemed pretty happy. And even though we were all, when we bought our tickets, we were told we had to wear masks. Nobody was wearing a mask. But it was an outdoor show, and I didn't feel unsafe, although I wish the aisles had been a little wider. I think they used to be.
Well, but they don't use the tents anymore, do they?
They didn't use the giant tents. Everything was in small tents, which meant there should have been room for bigger aisles amongst the rows of tents. But that was the only thing that I was unhappy about.
I was at Art in the Loop in Memphis, Tennessee. Everything about the show was great, except the attendance wasn't particularly good. Booths were spaced out about 5 feet apart, so we had lots of room. Masks weren't required, though a lot of people still wear masks, whether they're required or not. It's a good choice. And said everything about it was great, except not a lot of people came out to buy art.
Yeah, it's a shame.
So I'm doing Lamar this weekend, and setup is Thursday and Friday, and it's supposed to rain both days. So I've never set up in the rain before, and I think I'll have to cart it in because it's been raining here, so the ground is really wet.
What show is that?
The Lamar sculpture.
Oh, Lamar sculpture.
Yeah.
I just set up in the rain for Brookside. As soon as we unloaded everything, it started drizzling, and we just got the tent roof up first, even though we didn't put the tent up, so everything was kind of under that, and then it started pouring, and because we had the tent roof on, it helped. I mean, and then that evening after the show was over for the evening, because it was a 5 to 9, there were major storms coming, and nobody had any idea what to expect, so we battened down the hatches. All the artists took, like the 2D artists, took all of their stuff out of their tent and put them in their vans. But anyway, setting up with the if you can, I don't know if you can pull up to your booth or not, but in an ideal world, you could at least put your tent roof on, get that at least together, and then get everything under there before moving your car, if it's possible.
Annette, are you setting up under their tents, or are you setting up your own tent?
Well, I'm under the big tent, but you still have to put a tent up. So that's good, but I'm pretty sure you won't be able to drive up because it's been raining so much. So then it's like, well, if it's pouring down rain, do you just put tarps with your stuff? I don't really have, I don't have the pro panel protectors or whatever.
What kind of tent truck do you have?
Well, I just have a dolly actually. So, but it's, the kind you can lay it flat and push it that way, but.
Yeah, and then you just put a tarp over it.
Yeah, go buy tarp or plastic rolls. Plastic rolls are kind of cheap.
Okay.
Lohmeyer, if it's even drizzled, they won't let you drive in.
It's been raining a lot. Yeah, we have puddles all in our backyard, so I'm sure.
Oh yeah, then there will be no driving in.
Probably not.
But if you're under the big tent, very smart move in my opinion, you'll be fine because you can, tarp it to get it in, and it's pretty dry under there. The only time I even put a roof on my canopy, I did set up my canopy, but the only time I put up a roof was when we knew it was going to rain a lot. And that was just pretty much to protect it at night.
Well, I am on a corner, so I'm afraid that, you know, I may get, and I'm facing like the west, which I don't know. It seems
nice.
That might be, I don't know if that's going to be good or bad. It depends.
Well, put your sides up.
Yeah.
You know, close off the front before you leave at night.
Okay.
Yeah, I told her to get there early.
Yeah.
Because being on the end, her tent may not fit if everybody else is set up.
No, how tall the tent is. How big is the big tent? Is it not that tall?
They're big. And Larry, the walkway is inside the tent.
Yeah, I know.
Right. So I think one of the problems with setting up inside the tent at Lohmeyer is there's almost no storage behind your booth, which is a problem for a lot of artists. Depends on your work, but
I think we had like 4 feet or more.
No.
I've done the show many, many, many times.
I have too, and I'm going to be there this year. And I talked to them.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and they said there's not much of any storage behind the booth in the big tents. If you want storage behind your booth, they suggested the outdoor tents.
Why would they change that? Because there was,
I was farther in the tent.
First tent off the sidewalk. And there was at least 4 feet. I'm not real good on sizes, so it may have been 6 feet.
Yeah, organizations change things and often not for the better.
But I love that show. I wish I was doing it myself.
Where do you get your really cool glasses?
Oh, these are by Teo, T-H-E-O. They're
fabulous. They're fabulous.
Thank you.
Is that online?
You can find them online. I get them locally at a place called Hyper Optic, but I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
But I've gotten all my weird glasses there.
Oh, wow.
And they're almost all Teos. This is so, the first thing you notice are the glasses and not the fact that my head has been shaved.
Well, they're just fun. Go with your outfit. Very nice.
Except that I'm actually, if you notice, I have a little, it's kind of a, but I have a little hair. Woohoo!
Almost as much as Frank.
Not even close.
It looks great with your top.
Thank you. Oh, all of a sudden I'm going to start color coordinating.
Well, you got to do your hair too.
What am I going to do to it?
Color it.
You can have red hair and red shirt and red glasses.
Yeah.
Enough's enough. But it's interesting how it grows in very different. It doesn't grow in much over here, but yeah, at the top of my head, it's going whee.
So you're going to have a mohawk soon.
Well, I think if the angle's right, I almost have one now.
Almost.
Unfortunately,
you'd look very avant-garde if your hair was the same color as your glasses.
Yeah, I think I'd go blue. Well, I have to wait until they're going to shave my head one more time for one more procedure, and then I think we'll get a normal grow out.
How do you feel?
I feel pretty darn good, all things considered.
Thank God. Wonderful.
Yeah, I'm
disappearing dog.
I'm walking pretty well. Who's this?
Oh.
She keeps disappearing.
So, Allison, how was your show?
It was okay. So yeah, the first night we were waiting for these storms to come, and we were done by 9, and it started like, you know, going nuts at around 10, and thundering and lightning and wind and all of that. And so, you know, that was just a little nerve-wracking, but thankfully it was fine. The next day it was pretty cold, so my down jacket, which I didn't think I would need, even though it wasn't that cold, when you're outside all day it feels cold, so I was happy to have that. The crowds were good, the sales were I mean, even just talking to other people, it was like we couldn't place it because there were a lot of people, and you know, sales were just but you know, a lot of people engaged. I made some nice sales, met good people, and there were a lot of people who feverishly wrote down things on note cards and said they'll get in touch with me. So hopefully a portion of them will. You know, we stayed with a friend, and so that was a nice visit too. She was my booth neighbor, so that was fun. So it was good. I mean, you never know what comes out of these things after the fact. And for me, I know that does happen. So, you know, later this week, I'll send an email to all the new people who signed up and take it from there. So.
Well, I like the piece that Sharon bought.
Oh yeah. That was lovely. So yeah.
That was fun.
So I'm making signs, by the way, tonight at 5 o'clock. I'm going to the courthouse.
Good.
So anyway, you know, it's like on to the next. And then this Saturday, I have an artist market here in Santa Fe. So from like 9 to 2. So hopefully I'll make some sales there too. You know, I have to remind myself that it doesn't just always happen all the time at a show. Can't hear you now.
Bonnie had to mute because her phone rang.
I see. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I actually made sales from other customers over the weekend, not at the show, but those are all the things that you kind of throw out there that come back, and you never know when they come back. So the show was not awful by any means. Sales were a little disappointing, but I remind myself of that, you know, as long as, you know, I'm good at emailing the customers and making sure they remember I'm here. And so, you know, it certainly was not a waste of time.
Good. Well, nobody has been writing about how spectacular it was.
Yeah, you know what? I talked to a lot of people there, and, you know, everyone is like, I mean, nobody was crying or anything, but, you know, some people were saying, yeah, plugging along, but I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because of the stock market. Who knows? The buying energy seemed kind of low, considering the crowds were out and they were engaging. But I had this really great customer on Sunday, and this is my favorite type of customer. She perused the website. So when she got to the booth, she was already in the know of, you know, what I had, and she saw some earrings, and she said, I saw something like that, but in another color. And so she ended up buying 3 pieces from me, which was great, and interesting conversation. You know, I liked her, and she knows all about the type of history here in Santa Fe, like the religious history. So it was interesting talking to her in general. And, you know, I like those sort of customers that are kind of, she was psychologically prepared to buy something from me before she got to the show. And very nice.
I had that happen at a little show in Marion, Iowa.
Uh-huh.
And it's just a little one-day show. I had a woman at the beginning of the show. She said, I have been on your website, and basically I know what I want, even though there wasn't much on my website. But she ended up making my entire show. I mean,
wow.
It was, yeah.
That's really great. I love those people. You know, they know what they want.
Yeah,
but this didn't.
Show,
it's so
I'm
good
sorry,
for
go ahead.
the ego.
I was going to say that show we wouldn't even be talking about it if they didn't sign up with Zap.
Right.
Because nobody knew about that show. And once they signed up with Zap, they got applications from artists from all over, and local artists couldn't get back in the show again.
Well, cream rises to the top, I guess. You know, I drove there from Michigan and for a one-day show.
Yeah.
And I did really well. I loved the show. It was,
I used to, yeah.
They liked us.
I used to do South Haven. That was my best one-day show ever.
And then they made it 2.
I'm doing that one this year.
And then, but when it was still one day, you could do Saugatuck one day and South Haven the other day.
Yep.
Has anybody done Peoria, the one that's in Peoria, Illinois, that's in September? Is that a good show? That's 2-day.
I've done well there.
It used to be better. Most people I know that do it now don't do particularly well. I think part of it is, what is it, Cummings, the big company that's...
No, the yellow and black.
Caterpillar.
Thank you.
Which one?
Caterpillar Tractor.
Yeah, I think they moved a lot of their executives up to Chicago, and they're keeping the plant open, but it's not what it used to be. Okay.
Well, I did it the first year, or the first show after they did that massive layoff and everything. And I thought, oh my God, what am I even doing here? But it still turned out okay. It's not a top tier show.
Did you hear what happened with Fort Worth and the piggyback show? Like the person who owned, did anyone hear about this?
Yep.
Yeah, the person who owns Sundance Square, some like rich yokel who wants to have his own show and you know, is basically competing with Fort Worth, and so they can't use Sundance Square anymore. And now I saw he has applications out for some sort of fall show. You know, rather than what?
It's called Artworth, I believe, 3rd week of October.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know, it's such a shame. People would rather work against the community than with it.
Well, yes and no, but then when our fates are determined by yours, a lot of good artists have never made it into Fort Worth ever.
Right.
And
yeah, but I'll tell you, it's not a good show for everyone. I mean, I've done it a couple times, and I think people clean up at that show, but it just was never worth it for me. But this other show, like, who is this person? What do they even know about running a show? I mean, Fort Worth, I think, does a good job at, you know, getting people there. Then there's the organization. There's so much that goes into a show. And I think sometimes people think, you know, they start up a show and it's not really, the reasons are like, they think they're going to make money from it or something, which I can't imagine. I can't imagine you're making so much money from an art show. But, you know, anyway, it just, I don't like all the piggyback shows. And yes, I know people can't get in. Believe me, I have like 4 wait lists this year, but you know, it thins out the market, and it also, I don't know, it's nicer when people can work together.
Well, yes and no, but then you look at, for example, Ann Arbor. Should Ann Arbor not have spawned 4 shows? Should it have just stayed 1 show? Look at Louisville.
It would have been a much better.
Should Louisville have stayed as 1 show, or
yes,
going to 4 shows a problem?
Yes.
How so?
Well, Ann Arbor, for the best example, it's nowhere near the show it used to be. Now that can be said for a lot of shows. Mm-hmm. But when Sherry Brown pissed off the South U merchants, and she went over to North University area and moved the original over there. South U put on their own show. Boy, did we take a hit. You know, that was an extra 350 artists. There's only so much of a pie. And you couldn't even walk down the street in that show.
See, I've met people throughout my career of doing art shows, women in particular, that go with their friends to Ann Arbor for the week, for that 4-day event. And it's a big show. Yes, they have to walk around a lot to see a lot of artists, but they go because it's an event to go to all those shows and all those booths. Plus all the artists that do those second, third, and fourth shows that started that do good at those shows, as we each tend to talk about how well we do, but a lot of those artists did well. If there was only one show and they didn't get past the jury, they would not make that money for their career as an artist. That doesn't seem right. So to me, yes, I agree with piggybacking of shows to a good extent if the promoter isn't committed to whatever you want to describe as the fundamentals, but just to me, making sure that the patrons in the area get to see work that they're interested in buying. And that if they can do that, and personally, I don't have an issue with piggybacking of shows, because again, a lot of these shows, Cherry Creek, Plaza, Des Moines, most artists can apply for 20, 25 years and never make it in there. And they will never know how well they would do if they got past the jury, because the jury is determining their fate, as opposed to the public.
Well, I personally have never applied to Ann Arbor, but I don't want to do a show with, like the Bellevue Arts Museum show had, when I did it, there were 2 piggyback shows. So there were like 700 artists there. I'd rather do a show with
Bellevue, Washington, right?
Yeah. I'd rather do a small show with 120 artists. And if I'm lucky enough to get in, I don't, it's, for me, smaller, quiet shows are better anyway. I also, I understand the jury process can be a problem, but on the other hand, like certain shows, if you're in, then the patron comes to the show and they have a preconceived notion that they're going to buy at the show because this is the best show, blah, blah, blah. And so I don't know, when there's all these piggyback shows, first of all, I just don't like that mentality. I just prefer like a nice community event where everybody participate. In Chicago, there's 2 shows that go on at the same time. They're different neighborhoods though. So it's not really a piggyback situation, but
Wells Street in Old Town?
Yes.
Yeah.
And there seems to be, I don't know if people go to both or not.
We do.
But from what I hear, the quality is different. So, but I don't know. I can't attest to it because I've never been to the Wells Street.
But see, I used to live in Seattle and I used to do the 6th Street show. But I knew a lot of artists up in Seattle that loved doing that first knockoff show, Rest of the Best or whatever they called it. They did great there. And if that show wasn't there, that income would never have been made by those artists, because the one that was held in the parking garage was rather exclusive to out-of-staters.
But you could say that you have never made, you could do Cherry Creek and make 0 though. So like I've done, I the first time I ever applied to St. Louis, I got in and I actually made 0. And I don't make 0 at a lot of shows. So, I mean, so it's not income they didn't make because you really don't know. But then, I mean, I don't just depend on shows for my income. I mean, at this point, I depend on my mailing list too. So there, I don't know. It's, I guess it's a personal preference.
I'm not sure what your point is, because if our goal is to put our work in front of the public and the jury is blind, and then the public makes a decision of what they want to buy, if they're coming, as you say, because they think that this show is going to be one of the best out there, why is it that there's any issue that if you get a chance to be in front of it and it doesn't work, you can walk away from the show? That's, I think a lot of artists will, given the distance they have to drive to get there. But if the public, say for example, you went into your category and you were one of the top selling artists the first time you got into that show, and you got juried out the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, wouldn't that be a little problematic for you? Because the jury is deciding what the public gets to see and what the jury...
But I figure out what else to do. Plus, I don't want to be in a show. My neighbor at Brookside did, she was a printmaker, original prints, except that she also had tote bags and kitchen tea towels with printed things on it, which should not really have been allowed at that show.
But that's show management. That's show management. They can control that.
Right. But the jury controls some of that too. Like if it's a show that doesn't want, say, reproductions or like jewelry from existing parts. That's, where you buy the parts and you're putting it together. Pardon? Assembly, right. So, I mean, I know there are craft shows like that out there, and that's fine, but I apply to shows where the artist is supposed to make the work, and that means the idea is that it's a level playing ground where all of the artists, whether they're, ceramics, clay or textiles or jewelry or painters, where everybody's making their work, they're not running factories. And that means that our work probably will be more expensive, but it's not like we're competing with somebody selling $12 beads that they're just putting a wire through. And again, nothing against that. It's just, that's why there is a jury process.
But to a good extent, these days, I think that's what we're experiencing from a different standpoint, is that when I started doing shows 20 some years ago, almost everybody on the show circuit that I met around the country, California, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Pacific Northwest, were full-time artists. They had great tents, they did great setups. They were devoted to being artists, full-time professional artists. Nowadays, there's so many hobbyists, part-timers, wannabes. They set up bad booths. They set up poor booth presentations. The shows don't manage it. And no, I don't like being in shows like that, because I think it drops the scale down for the public that comes in.
Right.
The best analogy I've ever heard is if a show was if every artist at a show, if you look at the show as a store, and every artist's work in that show is product on their shelves, what show in America, and I hope this is a rhetorical question, what store in America will succeed if they don't pay attention to what sells off their shelves?
See, but I disagree with you. The shows, we don't get juried in because we sell our work. We get juried in because of the quality of our work.
But why does the public come to the show? And what are they expecting? And once they come and they find art and they buy it, what do they expect the next year?
Wait, I have a question. I want to clarify. Are you saying that shows should only have work that they think is saleable? Because that's what I'm understanding.
I think they should have, within the context of what jurors do, the show should lay a palette of work that the public that they're asking and spending their money on to bring to the event, that do come to the event, take time out of their lives, get in the car, drive down there and find artwork and buy it, that they should pay attention to what the public buys, because that's more important than any juror's opinion.
Ron?
Okay, as a show director, I have no idea, unless the artist tells me, how anyone does at the show.
Right.
Right. And why are you opposed to, okay, and why would you be opposed to having it be a commission-based show where you keep track of what artists sell on behalf of the public?
No way.
No, I don't want that. Ew.
Why would I want to do that to the
Why
artist?
wouldn't you want to do that?
Why do I want to pay a commission? I'd rather pay a booth fee. And then, because like La Quinta, somebody asked, has anyone done La Quinta? That's 20%. So if I make $10,000, my booth fee is $2,000.
And if you're one of the best-selling artists in La Quinta, you get invited back, because one of the things that we experience as artists, you go and you have one of the best shows you've ever had, and then you're juried out for years to come. That makes no sense whatsoever.
That's part of, part of life. That is part of life.
No, it's not. That's in the power. Again, it goes to what's the objective of a show promoter in holding an art show. And why do we participate in art shows if it's not to get our work in front of the public? And when the public speaks,
hold on one second.
Listening.
I don't sell all my work. I just made a sale for, took a deposit for a bracelet, but I spoke with the woman last year at Cherry Creek, but she's seen my work at previous years. So I made the sale not at the show. In fact, I make sales from people I met at shows, from people I meet in my, just at open studios, but the show itself isn't where I make all my sales. So by your account, then I would never get into a show because my sales might not be good at a show, but after the fact, somebody could buy a $12,000 necklace. So, I mean, I know plenty of people who do post-show sales, or it might take somebody 5 years to buy something from me.
Yes, but I know people that zero out at Main Street, Fort Worth, that zero out at Cherry Creek, and they get back in the show year after year. And that makes absolutely no sense. because the public that's coming to the show, it's not to say their work isn't great. It's just not what the public wants to buy. And within the context of no buy sell, no reps, no assembly, no all that stuff, which is up to the shows to monitor and the shows to enforce. Once the public comes and they say, oh, we love this painter's work, we love this ceramic artist's work, we're going to come back and we're going to start buying from them. Why would you not want to make sure that their work was there?
But Ron, you've been to shows, I'm sure, where you've had 3 good years in a row and the 4th year you bomb.
Okay.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And
definitely.
You could bomb the first year and come back and do really well. Any given year doesn't mean much. There's some random chance thing that goes on. You know, I mean, people have had great shows in the same place, and then it stops, and then it starts again.
Right. But what's your point, though? I don't.
Well, the point is that if the criteria is did they do well last year, then that artist isn't going to get into the show again if they did badly, and that might.
No, it just means they go back into the jury pool. They go back into the jury pool, or they go back if they had a good show, but it wasn't as good as a lot of other artists. Maybe they get a bonus point added to their score to increase the chances that they might get back in. But
who's going to organize? Who's going to organize all that though? That's so much more work for the show. Also,
but then the show makes its money with that commission, not by increasing the number of booth spots that you have in the show. It's by how much money do we make off of each space that's in the show, and that money that's made off of each space is from the public coming and buying.
Ron, you should put on a show and run it this way.
Yeah.
Yes, I should.
Yeah, you should.
But again, you
are so wrong from a show standpoint on so much.
No, Bonnie, I disagree with you totally 100%. We'll just have
you done what commission shows do you do?
I've done La Quinta. I do Oklahoma City Festival of the Arts, and I love going to Oklahoma City. I like La Quinta. It's just kind of far to drive now. I think those are the only 2 that I know of that are commission-based shows.
Well, La Quinta never lets me in, but
what's your point?
But the thing is, I also I said to myself, don't even apply again because 20%. I mean, I've done Kings Mountain, which is 15%, which is not so bad. But I don't want to do. This is how I make my living. I don't want to pay a commission. That's
fine. Don't apply to a commission-based show. But there's a lot of artists out there that don't mind at all the commission that they pay because it gets them back in front of the public that really is responding to their work.
Well, Oklahoma City, I was a juror for them a few years ago, and they invite back the top sellers. I can't remember anymore how many.
Actually, they jury you in for 3 years, and then at the end of that 3rd year,
Oklahoma City?
Yeah, come to that after the 3rd year, the commission doesn't really matter.
You have to do a certain amount
in order.
But the commission that they take out they do all the credit card transactions, so you pay no fee. You get your booth fee back, so you're not paying that. They collect and file the sales tax for you, so you don't have to do that.
So they're your nanny.
Yes.
They're, it's like a nanny.
And I would love to have the nanny because, again, what I'm able to sell there is so far beyond what I can at other shows, most other shows. And the fact that I get back in for 3 years in a row to enjoy that, that's for me. Personally, I'm not saying anybody else has to agree with that. But that's important to me because there's a lot of other shows that I probably could do really well at. I would love to get in Cherry Creek one time and see how well I did. Love to get into Main Street, Fort Worth. But in 20 years of applying, I made the wait list in Fort Worth once.
Yeah, the other advantage of Oklahoma City is it's April.
Pardon? I'm sorry,
Oklahoma City is in April.
Right. Yeah. It was just the weekend or the week before this last week.
We used to do it back to back with Fort Worth.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. If they're accepting people in because they're the high sellers, what if, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard as far as La Quinta, certain people get in where it's not the individual artist really making their work and, they have huge sales, but I mean, it could affect the quality of the show.
But again, you're talking about rules that the show sets up. It's the responsibility of the show to enforce. That's their rules that they're not enforcing.
Right. Okay.
It's not supposed to be part of the event.
Well, I would rather be juried in by the artwork than high sales, because that's just a little too capitalistic for this artist.
Okay, because
However,
the first time I ever did Oklahoma City Festival of the Arts, there were some ceramic artists I was next to, and they were a year ahead of me. So after their third year, they got juried out. When I ran into them later that year, I said, I'm sorry I didn't get to see you there. Do you mind if I ask how well you had sold that last year you were there? They said, oh, we did about 18,000.
Wow.
Now, I don't know that many artists that wouldn't like. I know a jeweler that wouldn't probably phase too much, but most artists I know would love to do 18,000 at the show. And even if they gave up 20% of that, they'd still love to do whatever was left.
It's a 9-day show?
No.
6-day show.
6 days? Sorry.
You set up on Monday.
Yep.
I mean, no,
okay,
yeah, you set up Monday.
Set up on Monday, you're right.
Yeah, and the show runs till Sunday.
Correct.
I've never done it, never applied to it. I've only juried it.
Wow. Oh. You might want to try it sometime. You might find
it's a really good audience. It was when I did it.
Was it for you, Larry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I look forward to getting that check in the mail 2 weeks later every year.
Yeah. And you probably sold pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, I learned how to use the children's area.
Yes, and the print tent.
Right. But the children's area, I brought all my old teddy bear pictures.
There you go.
And I sold them for like $3 each.
That's right. And you get a lot of those kids with their parents coming up to meet you after they purchased it.
Right.
And that was touching, wasn't it? That was just amazing. The kids just look at you like, oh my God, you are so good.
I used to love when shows did that.
Yeah.
It was really a warm fuzzy, and you could participate or not. And it was just, it was really.
And the print tent meant that you could spend your time talking with people in your booth about selling your bigger pieces of work. And there were staff in the print tent that would sell your work for you. And they kept inventory of everything you gave them. They kept inventory of what was sold.
I don't like that. I don't want other people selling
my work. You
like,
wouldn't have to apply.
You know, I know.
It's easy.
Larry and I would both go, the fewer people that applied that after our third year, the better, because we did a better chance of getting back into it.
Yeah, it's easier if you're in a medium that is reproducible.
Right.
Right.
So I was invited to the Museum of Art and Design, New York. They do something called Mad About Jewelry. And there's no booth fee. There's no cases. You just bring your work and they have cases for you. But it's, and I had already paid my booth fee for Brookside, which was good because the deal is you give them the artist price and they mark it up 2.5%, you know. So if you have something that's $100, they're selling it for $250, you get 100. And they want you to have 40 to 45 pieces. So you've got to fly to New York, stay in a hotel, presumably, unless you have someone to stay with. And then you get basically 40% of your work, 40% of the sale. And when they advertise it, they say sales, the benefit of the sale, the proceeds of the sales go to, I don't know, educational things for the museum and the artists. And it's one of those.
But I take it from what you're saying, then you would never do a gallery of any kind, right? Because they're going to take a commission.
Yes, I'm happy to do a gallery because if I give them my work and they're selling it and I get a check in the mail, that's lovely. I have no problem.
Even if they're taking 50%?
I have no problem. If they're doing all the work, they deserve it. You know, if they're promoting. I recently had to take my work out of a gallery, but I just because she wasn't selling for a while, and we'll work together again. But, you know, galleries are not buying my work. It's in consignment, and that's just the reality for me. But I'm okay with working with galleries. I had one gallery. I mean, it's not like I'm going to work with 10 galleries on consignment. I can't do that and do shows and have enough work for shows. But being at the museum and having them get 60% seemed, and then there were all these online shows during COVID. One of them, it was 60-40 the artist. You have to do all the work to upload your work. And then you also had to pay for shipping. Well, I could just sell retail and have free shipping. So why would I want to do that? Unless they're getting me, if a gallery at 50-50 is And sometimes you could negotiate 60-40, the artist. But if a gallery has my work, they're doing all the work and they're making the sales, like Artful Home I'm on. And that's, I have no problem with that.
Okay,
but
so
if I have to do,
you would never mark your work up and putting it in a gallery to compensate at all to any extent for what you're paying for gallery.
It's called wholesale.
No. What is what?
It's called wholesale. When you do your pricing.
No, what I'm saying is if you normally sell at art shows, if you're going to put it in a gallery, the gallery is going to take a commission. Do you raise your price at all?
Never. No. Okay.
Now, can I finish?
Yeah. Bonnie has the floor.
Thank you, Allison. It is called wholesale. When you're pricing your work, you price in all of your expenses and, you know, everybody knows that whole drill. That gives you your wholesale price. That's the money that you need to get for that piece. Then if you're selling it at a show, you either double it or some people go higher. That way it can go to a gallery and you're still at 50%. You are going to get the price for your piece because that other 50%, that's above the wholesale price, that's where you take out your show expenses, your advertising expenses,
lodging,
everything else that comes into selling that piece. So if you're staying home, you know, it's almost sometimes a nice bonus.
That's not the question I was asking, I don't think. The question I was asking, if you go and do art shows and say you charge $300 for a piece, if you're going to put it into a gallery for the gallery to sell, do you raise the price at all so that when the gallery takes out their commission, you have any portion of that? So what you charge at the show is the same price that you would charge that people would see in the gallery.
Correct.
Yes. That's why if you do your pricing correctly, it doesn't matter.
No, it does. Though I would agree that I don't raise my prices when I'm at a show that's a commission-based show, though I know a lot of artists that do. They say, well, if I'm going to pay 20% commission, I'm going to raise my prices 20%. Therefore, I'm not really paying a commission because I'm going to end up with the same amount of money when it's all said and done.
I've got more.
Why they argue against the commission-based show is puzzling to me because they can raise their price if they want 20%. I have a moral
problem with that. It's like the price is the price. If a gallery is selling it, then like if I have a design that I repeat even with different stones, it's the same price everywhere. So, you know, I've had people from Artful Home contact me looking for a discount. I send them back to Artful Home because it's their customer, not mine. And it's the same price everywhere. And I
think that's great. And I am the same way. I don't raise my prices because if somebody goes on my website from a commission-based show and they see that the price is 20% less, they're going to probably raise the question, well, gee, why is he charging more?
Right. And they're going to feel bad. And you know, I don't like that. But I can understand why you do a show that you're guaranteed 3 years in. That certainly gives, you know, some stability. And I can appreciate that for sure.
But I still, I'm kind of puzzled if you're willing to give 60% or 50% to a gallery, why 20% at an art show would be a no-no.
So here's the thing, I'm not willing to give 60% to a gallery. It seems unreasonable.
Okay, 50%,
however,
40%, whatever.
If a gallery is actually doing the job and I just get a check in the mail, then that's lovely. But if I have to be at a show and I'm doing all the work and they get 20%, I'd rather just pay a booth fee. I'd rather pay a $1,500 booth fee than have to pay a percentage.
But you have to get the work to them, right? So the shipping cost is on you to get it. But for jewelry, it's a lot. On jewelry, it's a lot smaller. If you're doing two-dimensional work, it's a lot more. And then you also have to pay to get it back, whatever they don't sell, right?
Well, they pay, well.
No gallery I've ever worked with pays either direction.
So, but the thing is, I'm a jeweler and they like the gallery, I just got my work back from, she paid for shipping back to me with insurance and everything. But it's, you know, it's probably maybe $30 at most. So we're not talking about, you know, big paintings or anything like that. So
the big galleries or the good, let me change that to the good galleries, they'll pay return shipping. I mean, if you sold with them, they're not cheap.
No, I've never run into that ever.
Well, I had 75 when I was wholesaling, 75 galleries.
Wow.
That I dealt with.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
wow.
It was insane, which is why I'm not doing that now.
But they were buying your work outright, correct?
Some were consignment.
Uh-huh.
Nobody ever made me pay to get my work back. I would be insulted.
But again, it's jewelry, so it's, you know, smaller.
Yes.
Yeah, and I had, as a case in point, just one example, I had a guy approach me at a show up in Chicago at the end of the show. He said, I'd love to have your work in this piece in particular in my gallery. I said, okay, if it doesn't sell within a certain period of time, he goes, don't worry, I'll send it back to you. So he kept it for 6 months. I let him keep it for another 3 months, 9 months. He hadn't sold it. I contacted him. I said, well, I don't think it's going to work, because a lot of when people approach you from a gallery, if they understand their clientele base really well, they'll make good choices on what they want to put in their gallery. If they're just trying to add diversity, they may choose badly. So I said, well, remember you had agreed that you would pay to ship it back. He goes, I don't have the money to ship it back. So now I've got a piece that's sitting in a gallery up in Chicago. And the only way I get it back, and it was a 30 by 60 piece. It's like I have to pay to ship it, to get it shipped back. So
that really sucks. That just
it does. But when you're approached, or when you go to galleries and they want your work, you don't know the full ethics of the people you're dealing with. And again, for smaller work, it's a lot simpler decision. For bigger work,
isn't that what contracts are for?
Yep.
Shouldn't it be in writing and explicit?
I have never had a gallery owner, maybe I just deal with all the wrong people in life, but I've never had a gallery owner that signed a contract or wanted a contract signed.
You could provide your own contract. I've done that. If they,
me too.
So here,
I could, and then I could again ship my work to them at my expense and have it shipped back. What they don't sell, which again is a lot more money than what you're paying for jewelry, or somebody might pay for ceramics.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave. I will see you all next week. Teresa, if you want to call me in the next couple of minutes, feel free.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, Frank.
Bye, Frank.
Well, in any case, I've got 4 wait lists this year, and just hoping I get an email.
Well, it sounds like the wait lists are moving from what I'm hearing.
Right, that's what people are saying. Oh, the St. Louis jury released their, you know, they have all the scoring and their, you know, their whole process, which is very interesting. Has anybody else looked? I only gazed at it quickly yesterday on my phone, but
yes, I did look.
Yeah, and they have everyone's images, including booth shots. So it's actually, I'm going to take the time, but it's very educational just to see. With each round, I was interested that each round they start from scratch, so you don't accumulate points.
Right.
So that was just very interesting. And pardon?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I've got to run, but when you started saying St. Louis, I was wondering, is that something that anybody can look at and see online, or is it only if you applied?
That's a good question.
Does anyone have applied?
Really? But isn't it? I wonder if anyone could just see the link though.
Well, send the link to me.
Allison, send me the link.
Send me the link.
Yes, please.
And I'll put it on the Facebook group.
All right.
Yeah, Allison, I'd like the link.
Let me see.
Educational.
Thank you all. I have to run. It's been very educational listening to y'all. Thank you.
Bye.
I'm gonna go too, guys. Talk to you next week.
Bye, Shirley.
I gotta go.
Bye, Shirley.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Hi.
Annette, have you thought about setting up your spheres on a pool table?
That would be really cool, but
it would be a cute
show.
No, just for a picture. It would be a cute picture.
I don't have well, they do look good. Like on this table that I photographed them, now I have them this was when I first did them, but now I have all the forms. So they're sitting there and it's kind of like a forest of these different shapes. And it's so cool. And it's like, gosh, if I could just set it up this way at a show, it would be wonderful because it'd be so much fun to walk around, kind of like a jeweler, just put it all in the middle. People can walk around, but I don't know what to do with them. I bought those ladder shelves, which I don't really like now that I bought them. And
those look great. They look really good.
Yeah, they're fun.
Really pretty.
I mean, the show Saturday, I mean, nobody was there, but the only thing I sold was one of those sculptures. So people really seem to like those more than the paintings. So,
well, that.
Yeah.
When you sell those, I wonder if you could display them in groupings, so people might be encouraged to buy grouping instead of one.
Yeah, they are now. I put them. I make like there's a tree and just some other. I'm trying to do some really just abstract things that like just like maybe like a ribbon, and I have some. Well, next week I'll put it on where I have my the different shapes. I'll put a picture of that on. But they're really cool and people do, but and then I've arranged them, of course, how I think they should go, but then inevitably people say, I want to switch the balls around. And then I'm like, oh gosh, because I've kind of got them color coordinated. So then I have to think of a way to like make that possible, maybe, without making it too crazy. I don't know how, it's only been like 6 months since I've had these. So it's kind of, I'm really, trying to figure it out because
it's hard enough to make the artwork, and then there's the challenge of all those other things involved.
Yeah. But displaying them, I want to display them so it's interesting. But yeah, the men love them, and it's always them that come in first, and then their wives will follow. But it's very funny to me that it's always the men that really come in to look at them. So
I love when a man walks into my booth and gets excited about something and drags his wife over.
Yeah.
I just,
But then when the wife says no, because I've had that happen a lot, she's like looking at him like, you're crazy, I don't like those. And she's
right. That's always hideous when that. Hey, Bonnie, can I just quickly have your email? Because I'm going to just send it now so I don't forget.
Okay. Bonnie, Bonnie. Blanford, B as in boy. Whoops, just a minute.
I've got it.
Okay, I screwed up.
It's B Blanford.
Oh.
Okay. It's B Blanford, yes. That's B-L-A-N-D. F.
B-L-A-N-D, Blanford, yes. Okay. At?
No, it's Bonnie at B Blanford.
Okay.
.com.
Oh, it's Bonnie at B Blanford. Bonnie.
There are some things that my brain isn't enjoying right now.
Okay.
Luckily, I have most of my brain.
You're sending it to me, Alice?
Yes. Yeah, I sent it to you and Bonnie. If I have her email wrong, maybe you could just forward it to her.
Yeah.
But yep, I've just sent it. And yeah, I as I say, I was only looking in the car on my phone, but it's very interesting. There's either maybe yes or no. If you get 5 no's to start with, you're out completely. And but if you get less than that, you make it through each round. And so there were some comments on the notes on the side also. Some were good comments for people who got in. Some were, I don't understand what this is, or for people who didn't get in. So it's, again, it's just very educational. You get to see everyone's images and booth shot. And then in the St. Louis show, they only have 2 categories. There's 2D and 3D, which, I mean, that's how they do it. So I accept it, but I prefer all the different categories.
I'm with you.
It doesn't matter what I prefer though.
But when I was looking through them, I was kind of writing them down and trying to keep track. And it seemed like the yeses was way more than 135, whatever they picked, whatever they needed. So then I know some people personally who were a maybe, and they are on the wait list. So it makes me wonder how many people are on the wait list. And then I'm pretty sure I saw someone who had an all no's and they're in the show because I saw them up on the thing. So I don't know, I need to recheck that, but I'm like, okay, it's just someone that's there all the time. And I'm like, well, how did they get in the show?
Yeah.
Unless they were an award winner, but then why would they be in there with a no? So, well, no.
I'm on the wait list, and it's one person consistently gave me a yes, and one consistently gave me a maybe. And then the others were mixed between maybes and no's. And I'm on the wait list. So
yeah, I don't know, but there were so many yeses. I was like, especially in 2D. The 3D, it seemed like there weren't as many. And but the 2D stuff, there were a lot of people that got yeses to go forward, and way too many to be in the show. But it's curious, then where do they go from there? Does the show director take over from there? Like, do they decide?
I would imagine
maybe
the best.
And I think they said 43 people were already in.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because that's a lot.
Those people were. Yeah, it is a lot.
So you're on the wait list in that?
Oh no, I was out the first round.
I'm on the wait list. I'm collecting wait list this year, but yeah, they said 43 people. I know Cherry Creek had 75 roll over because they had it in September last year, and normally it's July. So the people who couldn't make it then, they rolled those people over. So I understand that. That's very nice of them. I'm not sure why there were 43 that didn't have to go through the jury process for St. Louis, because there's only so many award winners, right? I don't know, 20 maybe 30. I mean, I have no idea.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think there were only 75 spots at Cherry Creek.
So
75 openings.
I thought it was 75 rollover. I could be wrong though. I don't know, but that's what I thought.
It could be too, but everything I've read said.
Not sure.
Said 75 openings.
Okay.
So I, immediately had to call my friends that got in and say, "Whoa!"
Right.
Jeez.
I'm waiting for the call.
Being on the wait list is so hard because so many times you get in, but it's the not being able to plan your schedule.
So here's what I did though. I decided, okay, especially because where I live now, things are more accessible than from California. So what I did is at Cherry Creek, I have a free place to stay. So that's easy because lodging is the big thing. And it's 5.5 hours away. But the other shows, I didn't do it for St. Louis, but the other 2 shows I'm on the wait list for, I booked cancelable lodging. And if I get in, I'm driving, I'm not flying. So that's the only thing I have to worry about. And just by a certain time, I'll have to cancel it. So I'm basically, I put it in my calendar. I'm acting as if I'm going. And it actually has helped me psychologically because those are my plans right now, rather than feeling that ambiguous limbo sort of feeling that I hate so much. And that seems to work. As soon as I made, lodging reservations, it's like, all right, I'm either going or I'm not going, but
you're ready.
Right. And I don't have to worry about a flight or lodging now. And so that kind of, driving, so much easier, so much less to do. And the thing is, I don't make work per show anyway. I'm just constantly making new work, and I have what I have. So, it's that part is fine. So yes. So in my mind, it's like, okay, that weekend I'm booked, and I know I need to leave X amount of time to get there, and so that's how I'm kind of moving forward. And I might not get into anything.
I bet you will.
Hope so, but it's just
call them up.
Well, I've already emailed a couple of shows. Park City, we're not allowed to email anyone, so I can't do anything about that one. But the other shows I've emailed and they've responded. So I said I'm putting you in my calendar, ready to go. Da, da, da. And some of it's just really chance, and it's
there's that fine line between keeping yourself in front of their face, in front of their mind, and bugging them too much.
Right.
And
right.
I think I know you well enough to know that you're not going to, overdo the bugging.
Right. But, and yeah. And I know other people who've run events, and I try to, just let them know. And then they also know I'm good for it. I mean, I know Cherry Creek, I've gotten off the wait list before, and they know if I get in that I make up my mind right away, I act right away. So that helps rather than drag, some people might drag things out or, so.
Well, then
anyway.
you have the artists that you call them and you say, well, I call and email, but we have a space for you. And, oh, well, then I have to think about it. And so 3 days later, they get back to you and say, no, I don't want to do it.
3 days later? Geez.
It's like,
I mean, as soon as I find out, it's like 15 minutes later, the booth is paid,
Yeah. It's funny. We're a weird group of people.
Yeah. I know some people apply to shows and they don't know if they want to do them or not. Like when I apply to a show, I'm 100% sure I want to do the show. I've read posts where people say, well, I'm not sure if I should do this show or not. And they got in. I make that decision beforehand.
That's smart.
But, I know what I want to do. And I don't, all things being equal, you're not guaranteed of making money at a show. But, ahead of time, if you've done your research, the show gets people in because that's what you need. And, has a quality group of artists and all of that stuff.
Okay, somebody wanted to know, what's your favorite show you've been in?
Going back 20 years. I mean, I would definitely say Ann Arbor.
Why is that?
The year I took a sabbatical from the Guild, I did the original show. And that was the first time I went over 20 grand.
Wow. That's exciting.
Yeah, Ann Arbor in the earlier days would have always been my favorite.
And that was on South U.
So what's the situation now? I mean, aside from just everything, but
well, at least they dropped Sunday and they added Wednesday.
That's weird.
Or Thursday, whatever. They did something. Is it 3 days?
It's only 3 days now.
So Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Oh, that's really weird. Most people have weekends off, no?
Well, Sunday was terrible because of the blue laws. They couldn't open until noon.
Oh.
So you only had 5 hours.
Do they still have those blue laws?
And then they went until, I think this year's, the hours go later on Sunday. And it's like, oh.
No, they don't have Sunday.
Oh.
They go later on Saturday, I'm sorry.
Right.
I have to say, I'm very much not into the evening hours at shows in general. And I know I have no choice when I'm at a show, but it just seems like the evening is for socializing and so forth. And maybe other people do well at evening hours, but I like a show that's like, I don't know, 10 to 5, 10 to 6, even 10 to 7 on a Friday, where you can refresh yourself, and then the next day be ready to go. I don't know. Evenings don't pan out as much in my opinion.
Well, it was funny. This is years ago in Ann Arbor. I'd be busy all day and then come the evening, my sales would just drop right off. Michael Kiefer had the booth next to me and he sold throughout the day, but not, there weren't lines out of his booth. Mm-hmm. Boy, as soon as evening came and the couples came out, oh my goodness, he had lines.
What does he do?
Clay.
Okay. Wow. Isn't that interesting? So
it's just crazy.
Yeah, that really is. Huh.
I have a question if I can ask.
Yes. Sure.
So I just finished a couple of shows down in Texas. Just got back today and I did good, but a lot of artists were saying it was off compared to last year and prior years before COVID. And I'm wondering if there is a trend, are things going down compared to, because last year everybody said was phenomenal. So,
but what shows did you do?
South Lake and the Arboretum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so South Lake, even the person that was running the show at the Arboretum said she visited and it was like dead. And I did okay. I mean, it was definitely worth the trip, but I don't know. I mean, didn't go last year, didn't go the year before.
So last year, the argument was everyone was trapped at home and they were so excited to get out. And it's true. Yes. Last year, I only did a few shows, but they were all great.
Right.
Do you think the stock market could have an effect on people being more hesitant now?
I don't know.
War or gas or any of that stuff?
Or all of it?
Or all of it?
I don't know. It was just a lot of comments about everybody said both shows were slow. Talked to a painter who said last year she sold 65 and this year it was half of that. Another photographer said he was running about 2/3 of what he typically does at South Lake. So I don't know.
Well, I could say at Brookside, a lot of people were like, kind of inching along also. So, I mean, we could only guess, I suppose.
Well, if they could get the people from Plaza to come shop that show, it would help.
The show, I mean, it was busy, but
not enough buying.
Right, the buying energy was low.
That was at Brookside?
Yeah. And the thing is, people were...
That's what they said at South Lake. The people were kind of there, but the energy was low.
Yeah. I mean, people were signing my mailing list, even unprompted. It's not like they were just running away, and they were coming into my booth. It's not like they were just walking by. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people who buy art are of retirement age, so maybe they're worried, or, I mean, I don't know. I can only guess. I don't know how, I mean, there's all this talk about inflation. So I'm just not really sure.
Yeah, so you kind of saw the same thing. It was the energy was off compared to prior.
Definitely, but they were interested, and people would try things on and write things down and all of that. It's not like they were just walking by as zombies, but they just were not making the leap.
Did you make enough to go back again?
So,
then you'll see what happens next time.
Yeah, there you go.
And I looked at my website traffic just now, and it's been great. Every show, the activity just goes crazy on the website. I don't tend to sell a lot on the website natively, where people just call up and say, hey, I found you on the internet. That's almost non-existent. But after a show and during a show, the traffic goes crazy. So I know those business cards that I'm passing out are working.
That's great. That reminds me to take a look at that too. That's fantastic. And what do you do?
Photography, face-mounted acrylics. Like the one on my backdrop right there. I sold that one.
Cool.
Guy came in while we were closing down and goes, what's the edgiest photo you have? And it's a nightscape. So.
And where is that?
That's photograph? Aspen from the Maroon Bells from way up high at night. I've not seen anybody else with that shot at night. So, from the lake, it's a pretty pedestrian shot. Those of you that jury people in, when you see the Maroon Bells, it's probably an automatic, reject, but I don't jury the shot from the lake. Although it did sell well this weekend. I was kind of surprised.
Randy, do you ever do Cottonwood?
I was invited for the last 2 years, and COVID things pushed. And then when they did the show last fall, I passed on it because I think it was about a 2-month notice, and I already had plans, so I didn't get in this year. And I thought of calling her before we left Texas on Monday morning, but I don't know. We were tired. was a brutal load in, load out at the botanical garden. I don't know if any of you've ever done that, but it's it's rough. If you've got heavy items, it's rough. They have a lot of volunteers with golf carts to help, but because that customer was interacting for about 25 minutes right at the end of the show, I didn't even start tearing down till after everyone had a half an hour head start. And I was the absolute last one to get on the list for the carts. So we were on the ground at about 7:30, which the show closed at 5. And then we waited till 9:30 for someone to,
Oh, wow.
Now,
there were a lot of people sitting there, and the poor volunteers. I mean, it was so sad. I mean, we were doing our absolute best trying to cheer them up because artists were yelling at them.
Oh, that's terrible.
They have volunteered their time and efforts to help load us in and out with their golf carts. They won't lift much, although one guy I think he was wanting to get home, so he was helping me a lot. But we had 3 loads at the golf carts, and then we had to push out 4 big boxes on wheels, and it was brutal. I mean, I got a good workout. I think I dropped 10 pounds in 2 weeks.
Randy, is that the show where they don't let you bring your own hand truck in?
No. Well, you can bring you mean like a dolly?
Yeah.
Oh no, you can do that. Some artists dollied themselves in and out rather than wait.
Is it too far? Is that the?
We were probably 170 yards from the drop-off point to our tent.
Yeah.
Maybe 200 yards. And there was a couple of, it was in the Arboretum, so it had a bit of a topography.
Oh, yeah.
But
I love the volunteers at shows. They're always so wonderful. I mean, Brookside had volunteers giving us water. They gave breakfast and a dinner. And you gotta love the volunteers, and they're there to help, and they want to be there. And so that's disturbing that those artists were yelling at them because it's.
I mean,
they don't.
It was a 2-hour wait, right? It is what it is.
Right.
They were thanking us for being kind and not yelling at them. We were just like, they actually were yelling at you? Oh yeah,
That's terrible.
It was. I hope those volunteers kept names of people that did that.
Artists are not at their best at setup or takedown, but especially
at takedown if the show's gone bad.
Yeah. If you've made a bundle, that's.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a neighbor that he had an unfortunate show. He sold one $35 piece. And I was like, wow, didn't know that till we were driving home and my wife told me.
Oh boy.
Probably would have bought something from him.
At that point, I would almost rather be shut out than have a $35 show.
Oh yeah.
I
had a $35 show my first year. It was in Steamboat, Colorado, and it was the 3rd art show in a weekend after weekend after weekend. Oh. And it was the weekend that school started, end of August. Nobody was there. There was an artist from New Orleans that was selling her artwork at ridiculous discounts, trying to get gas money to get home on Sunday.
Geez.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Most people zeroed. We had $35.
Hey.
And I think she managed to get about $400, but I think she sold what she would have normally sold at over 4,000 just to get 400.
My God.
Get gas money to get home.
Do what you have to.
Yeah.
In this business. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to go.
Well, sorry I was late. I got tied up just unloading everything.
Well, we waited for you.
Well, I appreciate that. I had it on the computer and then left the room for 3 hours. So
just glad you made it home safely.
Yeah. Just a long drive from Texas to Colorado.
How many hours is that? Let's see.
Well, if you're in a car, it's probably 12 or 13. But we are long and heavy. We triple tow. So 63 feet long. So I have a big diesel pickup truck, a fifth wheel trailer, and then behind that, my art trailer.
Wow.
So we only go 60 miles an hour. So it takes us a while.
And where are you in Colorado?
South side, just south of Denver, Highlands Ranch.
Got it. Yeah, we drove from Brookside home to Santa Fe, and I was kind of surprised. It was under 12 hours. And as we're driving kind of on 25 South, there's this, you see these, like, it was like a wall of clouds, and it was actually the fires, which are pretty bad. And then we drove in it essentially, and the sun was just so eerie. You know, the sky looked like the end of a cigarette butt. And but anyway,
were you fortunate enough to have a tailwind? Because we had headwinds both ways. You know, about $900 worth of diesel fuel.
Wow. You know, I don't know that we had. I don't know that we had a tailwind in particular, but we didn't have a headwind either, really. It was just
headwind both ways.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're towing a lot. We're just in a Subaru Forester, so it's a whole different thing. Yeah, you know, I'm a jeweler. I mean,
yeah, I'm pulling 15,000 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you drive in one day then, or take a couple?
No, we took off, you know, because we didn't get back to our fifth wheel until probably almost 11. You know, by the time we got out of the Arboretum and then drove back, and then took a shower. And so it was probably after 11. So we slept in. We didn't leave Dallas till it was almost 10 o'clock. And then we drove until probably about almost 9:30 last night. Stayed, there's a little wayside up there by Kaplan near Raton. Then we just pull into a wayside, go to sleep. Then started again this morning.
Right. It's hard work, you know, these shows and everything. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting to hear you say Brookside was a low energy show too. So.
Yeah, but big crowds. I talked with, you know, quite a few people. It's like, it's crowded. There are people here. They're looking. So I don't know. I didn't talk to one person who said they're having a great show. Some people said it's been steady. I mean, you know, it's, you know, the other thing is, you know, until it's over, you really don't know. So when you're asking people mid-show, you know, it could change on a dime. But yeah, it was,
Yeah.
But and Sunday, the weather was perfect on Sunday. It was like 72, sunny, not too much wind.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I feel lucky to have made some money, and hopefully I could turn some of those people who signed on to my mailing list onto a sale. So what we do.
Oh yeah. We don't all have good shows every weekend. Sometimes we crash and burn. Sometimes we kill it.
Yeah, this Santa Fe thing I do, it's 5 hours, and I've only done it once before. So they say as the season, as we get more into the tourist season, you know, it gets busier, and people come here for the opera and for the Indian market, so, you know, I'll be curious to see how all that goes. But this Saturday is right before Mother's Day, so who knows? Maybe my expectations are just, you know, minimal, and I made 2 sales last time, which was pretty good. So, you know, just going in with no expectations.
Do you ever do the Albuquerque shows?
I've only been here for a year, so I haven't heard anything that makes me want to, but I should go check them out.
Yeah, the Balloon Festival one supposedly has a lot of people, but the buying energy supposedly is lower.
Right.
I don't know. Never done
it. They only buy pictures of balloons if they know who own them.
I did it back in the 80s. Balloon pictures, I'm not going.
Yeah. I don't know that there's any good art fairs in New Mexico.
Yeah.
But this artist market, as I say, it's a local thing, but I mean, I was busy the whole time, and it's 5 hours. By 3:30, I was home relaxing. So, you know, even if I'm not making tons of money, if I make some, then I don't have to travel, and it's $100 booth fee. So.
Well, it'll be interesting to hear how everybody thinks this year is shaping up further versus last year. I've not heard a single person say it's better this year than last year that I've asked.
Well, we have to get past the summer shows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
All right. I guess.
Well, thanks for hosting the meeting.
Yes, thank you. And Nat, have a good show this weekend.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Where are you guys going this weekend?
Lomar, St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Sculpture Park.
Oh.
Annual show, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Well, have a good show.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry. I have a protest to go to at 5.
We'll all be with you in spirit.
All right. Well, let me just say it is across the country at federal buildings, courthouses, that sort of thing at 5 p.m. And move on, I think .org is, you know, instigating it. So
I get their emails too.
Yeah, it'll be peaceful. And so anyway, hopefully other people will be there, but Eric is going with me and I made some signs.
I hope they send out bigger bumper stickers.
Oh.
Because I get all their stickers.
You do? You get the stickers? Okay.
Yeah, but I'd like something bigger so I could actually put it on my car.
Right. Yeah, I don't put bumper stickers on my car. I'm too paranoid.
I haven't since the late 80s into the 90s when I had a big box truck.
Uh-huh.
And then I covered the back of it with bumper stickers.
Oh, okay.
And somebody stole some of my stickers in Chicago when I was parked in the parking lot.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
They peeled
You mean
them
they?
off.
Wow. Now I can't put my own stickers on my car because I'm a jeweler, and you know that would be a very bad idea.
No.
Right. But I had a couple of really funny ones. One was Elvis gave me this card. And that was the first one stolen.
When you drove that big box truck, did you have to do DOT certifications on that?
Not back then. Only if you had a company name on the side.
Yeah. I put nothing on the side of my trailer. I go by as a tourist.
Yeah, I mean, I had windows put in it, so the front of it looked more like an RV.
Okay.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.